Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Barton College football head coach Chip Hester. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Brandon. Hope you are.
I'm doing good. Can you talk about your experience so far coaching?
Yeah, I went to Georgia Southern for a master's degree after I finished my college experience at Guilford College, and I was doing an internship at Catawba College, and it was in operation, so it was with the athletic director, and I had some time, and so I ended up volunteering at Catawba, and so I ended up from that experience really loving coaching, and I've been involved with football since I was about 6 years old, playing little league and things, and I loved the game and loved what it did for me and the lessons it helped teach me, and so I got into coaching there. I was on Coach David Bennett's staff there for about 7 years, and when he left to go to Coastal Carolina, I took over as head coach at Catawba, and so I was head coach there for about 11 years. And after that, I spent about 6 months in administration. I was the director of athletic development there for a little bit, and then I said I need to coach a little bit more, and so that's when I went to North Carolina A&T. I was coached the wide receivers for a year, and then spent 3 years as the offensive coordinator, and had a great experience there as well, and met some great friends, and we had a really good team, so it was a lot of fun. And then this opportunity came at Barton, and so I've been here, believe it or not, 3 years. I know we're just now starting, but we've been kind of laying the groundwork and trying to build on a solid foundation. But we're excited about where we are now, and great school, great leadership, and we got a great group of guys. So we're excited about where things are going.
Can you talk about your experience coaching at AT&T?
Yeah, North Carolina A&T is up in Greensboro. We had really, I learned a lot from Coach Rod Broadway. He was the head coach there. He, for those of your listeners, probably know Steve Spurrier, and Coach Broadway coached with Steve Spurrier at Duke, and then went with him to Florida and as a defensive line coach, and won national championship there, and then and then his head coaching experience started at Central, won there, went to Grambling, won there, and then went to A&T, and so I learned a lot from him and the other coaches there, and we had a lot of fun. I mean, we had great alumni support, really got that program going. Coach Broadway did a great job of developing the program there, and really my last year there, we were 12-0, won the Celebration Bowl, and we were able to coach. I've told people that call plays that I hope for everyone that calls plays, they get a chance to call plays for a guy like Tariq Cohen, who's playing for the Chicago Bears. He was our running back for my first 3 years there, and he graduated and got drafted. But we had great players. There's great camaraderie there, and so it was a lot of fun. And they're still going strong at A&T, and have had a bunch of good success. And so I learned a lot of lessons there as well.
That's so inspiring. Can you talk about your experience coaching as the head coach at Catawba?
Yes, sir. I sure can. So, and that brings us to kind of why I took the job here at Barton. Is, I had taken over a program at Catawba that was successful. Coach Bennett, who got the job at Coastal, and I took over for him. We had been successful, and so that provides its own set of challenges to take over a program that's been really successful. And so I was able to do that, and had I learned a lot. I was young when I took over as that head coach. I was 31 at the time. So I learned a lot of lessons. Hopefully I learned those lessons. And so I was able to do that. And I was able to coach at North Carolina A&T, which is an FCS Division I team. so I was able to do that and coached in some bowl games and things like that. And so then when this opportunity at Barton came along, it I guess offered a brand new challenge. And so it was to start something from scratch, and to set a culture and really build it from the ground up. And that's kind of a new challenge. We had we had been able to experience some other situations, and I thought this would be a great challenge. And once I came down and met the president, Doug Searcy, and the AD, Todd Wilkinson, and the whole team that's here, I thought, this is the type of place that I want to be, and this is the type of challenge that I want to be a part of. And so it's been an adventure. Starting a program is a big enough challenge in itself, and now you add on to that the coronavirus and all the things that brings. It's been an adventure, no question.
Can you talk about your experience so far with Barton, and since Barton's the only closest college team to us, how has that affected some recruiting? For example, have you got more players to come to Barton than go to ECU?
Yeah, so I think I looked at a lot of the kind of the different things that were included in this particular opportunity, and I think Barton has got a great reputation academically, diverse population on campus, a really good feel about it, and so the community itself, there's a good relationship within the community, and the basketball team won a national championship in 2007, so it's from my experience, it's been an athletic town, and I think Wilson and the general area are football areas. They love football here, and so I have been just overwhelmed with the support and the excitement for Barton bringing football to this area. I think what it does is it adds more opportunity for local football players to have a chance to play college football, and you well know that this is good football area. I mean, you've got really good football teams, within an hour, and especially within 2 hours, you've got a ton of really good football. And so we've tried to tap into that talent pool, and over the years, I've coached in North Carolina for a long time. So all throughout North Carolina, we've developed good relationships. And so, we've got kids from Asheville, North Carolina, and Charlotte on our team, but we've got a ton of kids from the 252 and the 919 area code and 910. So we've been able to really get what I think are a bunch of talented guys that I think, it's going to be a challenge, even when you have talent that's not experienced, going against really, really some good teams that we're going to play this first year. It's going to be a challenge, but I think if we'll hang in there, I think we'll have a chance to be successful in the end.
How has the recruitment process affected you so far with the whole coronavirus?
Well, it has made it more of a challenge, Brandon. It's in Division II, we don't have the early signing date, and so the signing date for us starts the first Wednesday in February. So obviously that was before all the coronavirus and the shutdowns and everything happened. So we were able to sign a pretty good amount of guys on that signing date. And then the thing where in Division II, you basically you recruit throughout the year. And so it has made it, obviously we've had, the NCAA has put in some dead periods, which means you can't go off campus and no one can come on your campus to visit. And so that's a big part of how we recruit is one-on-one relationship building and getting guys on campus and showing them around and spending time and getting to know them, making sure that they, believe in the same kind of things that we believe in. And so that's made it more of a challenge, but you do more Zoom meetings and phone calls and you do what you can. But it's affected us. But I think we've been able to adapt and and find a way to get it done regardless. Right now, we've got over 125 guys that are on our roster, and we expect to have over 125 once we start in August.
With the Zoom calls, do you see next year you using more of the Zoom for recruitment process?
Well, it's interesting because you can, although I'm somewhat old school, and I love being in person and talking to someone in person, and but this is the next best thing now. And so I think as I was talking with someone I think last month, and they were asking about the coronavirus and how it's affected us, and how we're preparing and things like that. And I said, as much as I like being in person, and I like kids being in class in person and things like that, thank goodness we do have technology that we have these days, and guys can watch film online, and we can communicate and still have some kind of connection. So I think it probably has changed how recruiting takes place a little bit, and I think we'll probably utilize more Zooms and different technologies to communicate.
What are some of the things that you plan to accomplish in your first year at Barton?
Well, one of the things that we've talked with our guys a lot about throughout this past year, when we were in our red shirt year. So all the guys that came in, we practiced for a full year, or almost a full year. We ended up, obviously having to shut down with the coronavirus, but we've talked a lot about being the best version of ourselves. And this year when Kobe Bryant passed away, I was reading some things, and his definition of the Mamba mentality was to be the best version of yourself, which is exactly what we have been talking about a lot. So, I think all of us that are in athletics want to win. We want to win, and we'll be no different. Our mentality will be, we're going to try to find a way to win any game that we're taking part in. But I think the thing that we've got to do, and I know, it sounds like coach speak a little bit, is we got to be the best version of Barton College. And so we want to do the best that we can do with the experience and the talent and the coaching and all those things that we can do. And so, when you're in that, and again, it's a word that's overused in football, but the good teams, the teams that are successful, talk about it all the time, and that's being part of a process. So we want to do things in a certain way, and we've been trying to get that and set that culture and set that expectation of how our guys operate and how they play the game and things like that. So obviously we'd love to win a bunch of ball games, but we just want to be the best version of ourselves, and that's something that we're pretty committed to.
Can you talk about your personal experience in the recruitment process, moving from a new college and having to re-recruit players?
Sure. So, that's the one thing coming into this situation that you can't really anticipate is how you're going to be received with high school seniors. And so, I had hoped that they would see it as a challenge as well. And I think the thing that we've tried to do, and tried to be really honest with incoming guys or prospective student athletes, and we paint the picture of. I've always been a big Tony Dungy fan, and so we talk about being uncommon. That's one of our themes throughout. And so we don't want to do things just the way everybody else does. And so what we've, I think, done is attracted a group of young men that want to do something different. They don't want to do something that everyone else has done. And so we've kind of embraced the challenge of it. And I think I've been pleasantly surprised, or I feel good about the fact that we've been pretty well received with high school senior prospective student athletes. And we've been able to attract a really good level of student. We've got a pretty unique academic structure, Brandon, that, especially for those guys last year that redshirted, you can come to Barton and within 5 years get an undergraduate degree and an MBA, for instance, in 5 years. Same kind of thing with with kinesiology, and same thing. It seems like with sport management, and I'm leaving one out, maybe criminal justice. So we've got some guys that are serious about their studies and also want to play football and play a high level of football. So we feel like we've been able to attract the right kind of guys, and now it's just a matter of, training them, getting them ready, and getting that experience. And we think we've got a chance to be successful here.
What advice would you give upcoming college athletes wanting to get recruited?
Well, I talk to our assistant coaches a lot, and there's two number one questions that we ask, and then we start talking about football. But number one, we talk about we want to ask high school football coaches about the character of a young man. So is he the right kind of person? Does he believe the same things that we believe? Talking about racial equality and talking about having the right kind of values, and is school important to you? Do you want to be successful? All those kind of things. That's number one. Number two is, can you be successful here academically? And so if we get those two things, and we get the right kind of people of character, and people that have the ability to be successful academically, then we're going to find out about them as a football player. And obviously we want to get great football players, no question. But we feel like it's awfully important to get the right kind of people involved in the program, and in that way you can actually establish a great program and not just a good team.
What advice would you give upcoming college coaches wanting to get into college coaching?
So there's a lot that goes into deciding what level and things like that. And one of my good friends that I coached with at Catawba, his name Jim Tomsula. He was actually the head coach for the San Francisco 49ers. And we were together talking with a young man that was talking about going into coaching, and he gave the young man advice, and I've always remembered it. He said, if you can live without football, you need to. And I thought that was pretty funny, because football and especially college coaching is such a crazy business, and wins and losses can determine whether you stay in a job or don't stay in a job. And so that can be pretty crazy, and the hours can be pretty crazy. But I guess if you're wanting to get into college, you got to find a way to break into it and get some connections, and kind of once you get an opportunity, then you got to show what you can do and make the most of it. So the tough part of coaching is breaking in, and so most of the time that means doing a graduate assistant, or being a volunteer assistant, or being a restricted earnings assistant. So all those things, you're not going to make a bunch of money to begin with, but you've got to get your foot in the door, and then you can, by the way that you handle your job, that'll end up opening doors later on down the line. That's how I did it. I was able to be a volunteer assistant coach at Catawba College, and I worked pretty hard at it. And once the guy that I was kind of working with got a head job, then he brought me along. And so, and then once he left, because I'd done a decent job, I got an opportunity to interview for the head coaching job. And so that kind of worked itself out. But, just like most professions, who makes a difference. And so, you got to know what you're doing, but it's important to make those connections.
Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
I am not a big social media guy, Brandon, but I can't even, I know that we've got some Barton College football things on Twitter and maybe on Facebook and things like that. But I guess the best way is just to look us up on our Barton College. It's www.barton.edu.
Thank you again for your interview. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find us on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Hester, for your interview.
Thanks, Brandon, for having me.